Have you ever had that uneasy feeling when someone close to you smiles and says all the right things, yet something just doesn't feel right? You can't quite put your finger on it. But deep down, you sense there's more beneath the surface. What if that feeling isn't just your imagination? What if it's your intuition trying to warn you about something hidden? In this video, we'll dive into the subtle psychological signs that someone close to you may secretly harbor resentment, or even hatred. These signs are rarely obvious. They show up in the pauses between words, the half-jokes, or the things left unsaid when it matters most. Drawing on Carl Jung's insights into the human psyche, we'll uncover how hidden emotions like envy, insecurity, and suppressed anger can manifest in your closest relationships. By the end, you'll not only be able to spot these signs, but also understand how to protect your emotional space and foster healthier, more genuine connections. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this. 1. Disguised contempt through irony. Psychological insight. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow helps us understand hidden emotions in our relationships. According to Jung, each individual carries a shadow, a part of ourselves that we repress or refuse to acknowledge. This shadow often manifests in our interactions with others, especially those we are closest to. In many cases, the emotions we cannot process or accept in ourselves are projected onto the people around us. One of the most subtle ways this can occur is through the use of sarcasm, irony, and humor that masks deeper contempt or resentment. The use of humor in relationships is often intended to lighten the mood, but when it targets someone's vulnerabilities or self-esteem, it can have the opposite effect. The sarcastic comments that seem harmless on the surface may carry an undercurrent of hostility. It's easy to dismiss them as just a joke or harmless teasing. But these comments may gradually chip away at your confidence and self-worth. Real-life example. Consider a scenario where a friend or family member frequently makes jokes about your appearance or your habits. At first, these remarks might feel like playful banter, but as time goes on, you begin to notice that they leave a bitter aftertaste. For example, someone close to you might say, "Oh, you're still wearing that old sweater? Guess you're not really into fashion, huh?" Or, "I thought you said you were going to start eating healthier. But that's not exactly healthy, is it?" While these comments may seem lighthearted, they reflect a deeper dissatisfaction or resentment. The person making these remarks may feel insecure about their own choices or appearance and are projecting those feelings onto you. Rather than confront their own inner conflicts, they use humor as a passive-aggressive way to express their discontent. Over time, this repeated behavior can erode your self-esteem and cause you to doubt yourself. Actionable advice. If you find that someone close to you consistently uses humor or sarcasm to target your insecurities, it's important to recognize it as more than just harmless banter. Pay attention to how these comments make you feel. Do they sting more than they should? Do they leave you feeling small or self-conscious? Trust your intuition. If these remarks continue to chip away at your confidence, consider addressing them directly with the person involved. Setting boundaries around what kind of humor is acceptable can help protect your self-esteem and prevent further emotional harm. 2. Subtle sabotage of progress. Psychological insight. Not all signs of hidden resentment are as overt as sarcasm or criticism. Sometimes, hostility can be far more subtle and insidious. Jung noted that many of our unconscious behaviors are motivated by unresolved inner conflicts. One of the most damaging forms of sabotage is when someone close to you disrupts your progress in subtle ways, often masked as helpful advice or concern. This sabotage is not loud or aggressive, it's quiet and easily overlooked, but it can drain your energy and halt your growth. People who feel insecure or threatened by your success may unconsciously try to derail your efforts, often without even realizing it. They may distract you from your goals, offer discouraging comments, or forget to follow through on promises. The underlying motivation is often envy, rather than confronting their own fears of failure. They project them onto you and try to prevent you from succeeding. Real-life example. Imagine you're working on a personal project or goal. Perhaps you're aiming for a promotion at work or trying to improve your health. You tell a friend or family member about your ambitions, and instead of receiving encouragement, you get comments like, "Are you sure you're ready for that promotion? They might not take you seriously." Or, "I don't know if that diet will work for you. I've heard it's really hard to stick to." At first, these comments might seem like genuine concern. However, upon reflection, you might realize that these remarks happen every time you make progress. Whenever you get closer to achieving your goal, the person in question starts to sow doubt or create obstacles. They might forget to help you with a task they promised or change the subject when you try to share good news. This behavior often goes unnoticed because it's not overtly hostile. But over time, it becomes clear that someone close to you is sabotaging your efforts, whether consciously or unconsciously. This can leave you feeling disillusioned, drained, and less motivated to continue pursuing your dreams. Actionable advice. The first step in addressing this type of sabotage is awareness. Pay attention to patterns in the behavior of those around you. Do you notice that certain people seem to undermine your progress, especially when things start to go well for you? If so, it might be time to take a step back and assess whether these relationships are truly supportive or if they are rooted in envy or insecurity. Setting clear boundaries and focusing on your goals without seeking validation from these individuals can help protect your emotional energy and keep you on track. 3. Emotional absence during crucial moments. Psychological insight. One of the most painful signs of hidden resentment is emotional absence. Jung believed that the way we handle emotional highs and lows in our lives reveals much about our inner world. When someone close to you becomes emotionally absent during critical moments, such as during times of celebration, grief, or personal transition, it can be a sign that they are unable to confront their own emotional issues, and therefore cannot be truly present for yours. This emotional distance is not necessarily intentional. It may stem from the other person's own unresolved conflicts. In relationships, it's not always the everyday interactions that define the bond, it's how people show up for you when it matters most. If someone who claims to care about you becomes distant during moments of joy, sorrow, or personal challenge, it's a sign that something is off. Real-life example. Consider a situation where you're going through a difficult time, such as the loss of a loved one, and you reach out to a close friend for support. You expect empathy, comfort, and perhaps even a shoulder to lean on. But instead, your friend responds with indifference, or avoids the topic altogether. They might change the subject or offer shallow comments like, "I'm sure you'll get over it." Or when you share a success, they act indifferent or dismissive, as if they can't celebrate your achievement with you. This emotional absence can feel even more hurtful because it's often masked by the person's physical presence. They might be there with you, but emotionally, they're elsewhere. Jung referred to this as disconnection from the self, where someone is unable to be emotionally present for others because they are unable to face their own unresolved emotional struggles. Actionable advice. If you find that someone is consistently emotionally absent during times when you need them most, it may be time to reassess the depth of that relationship. True connection involves being present, not just physically, but emotionally as well. If you're feeling neglected or dismissed during crucial moments, it might be worth having an honest conversation with the person about how you're feeling. If they are unable to provide the emotional support you need, it may be time to create space for relationships that are more emotionally available and nurturing. 4. Silent competition and comparison. Psychological insight. Sometimes, the most dangerous rivalries are the ones that go unspoken. In many cases, people who struggle with self-acceptance project their insecurities onto others, turning relationships into silent competitions. Jung believed that when we are unable to accept certain aspects of ourselves, we may unconsciously use others as a canvas for our own struggles. This projection creates subtle but constant tension in relationships, especially when someone close to you seems to turn every conversation or achievement into a battleground. In relationships where silent competition exists, It's not always about winning or losing, it's about one person trying to assert dominance or establish superiority. This dynamic can drain your energy and make you feel constantly measured, corrected, or overshadowed. Real-life example. Imagine you share an accomplishment with a friend or family member. Perhaps you've received a promotion at work or achieved a personal milestone. Instead of receiving congratulations, the person redirects the conversation to their own achievements. They might say something like, "Oh, that's nice. I remember when I got promoted. It was a lot more stressful." Or, "That's great, but I've been working on something even bigger." These responses, though polite, subtly diminish your accomplishment and create an atmosphere of competition. Over time, this silent competition can create a sense of unease in the relationship. It may even cause you to question your own achievements, making you feel as though you're constantly having to prove yourself. Actionable advice. Recognizing silent competition is crucial to maintaining your emotional well-being. If you consistently feel like someone close to you is competing with you, it's important to address it directly. Have an open conversation about how their behavior makes you feel and set clear boundaries around what is acceptable in the relationship. Remember, healthy relationships are about mutual support, not one-upmanship. 5. Distorted information behind your back. Psychological insight. One of the most damaging signs of hidden hate is the distortion of truth. Jung often spoke about the need for the shadow to defend itself through external blame and projection. When someone close to you shares negative versions of your story with others, it can create doubt and confusion, not just for you, but for everyone in your social circle. This distortion can take many forms, such as gossip, half-truths, or veiled criticism. When this happens, the person spreading misinformation may be attempting to protect their own fragile ego or deflect attention from their own insecurities. By tarnishing your image, they create a narrative that helps them feel better about themselves, even if it comes at your expense. Real-life example. You might notice that a person you trust is subtly altering the way others perceive you. Perhaps they tell a story about you that isn't entirely accurate, or they twist facts to make you appear untrustworthy or incompetent. For example, they might say, "I don't know if you've heard, but they've been really unreliable lately." Or, "I'm not sure why they act like that. There's always drama around them." These distortions can create rifts in your relationships, leaving you confused and unsure about where you stand with others. Actionable advice. If you find that someone close to you is spreading distorted information about you, it's important to address it directly. Have an honest conversation with the person involved and clarify the facts. If they continue to misrepresent you, consider setting boundaries or distancing yourself from them to protect your emotional clarity. 6. Inability to celebrate your successes. Psychological insight. Celebrating the successes of others is a hallmark of emotional maturity and healthy relationships. However, when someone is unable or unwilling to celebrate your achievements, it can be a subtle form of emotional resentment. The inability to share in your happiness often stems from jealousy, envy, or insecurity. In these cases, the person may feel threatened by your success or be unable to handle their own sense of inadequacy in comparison to you. From a psychological perspective, this behavior can be tied to what's known as schadenfreude, the pleasure derived from someone else's misfortune. For those who feel threatened by your success, they may find it difficult to feel joy for you because it magnifies their own sense of failure or inadequacy. This can lead to a passive-aggressive response, where they may downplay your achievements or avoid acknowledging them altogether. Real-life example. Imagine you get a promotion at work or complete a major milestone. And instead of receiving congratulations, the person closest to you either ignores it or tries to downplay it. They might say things like, "Well, I'm sure it wasn't as hard as it sounds," or, "I would have been promoted long ago if I had that opportunity." These responses, though not directly hostile, carry an undertone of dismissal and prevent you from feeling validated in your success. This behavior is damaging not only to your self-esteem but also to the relationship. Over time, you may begin to feel unsupported and as if your accomplishments are being overshadowed or erased. The emotional toll this takes can affect your willingness to share future successes with this person, leading to a growing emotional distance. Actionable advice. If you notice that someone consistently fails to celebrate your successes, it's important to evaluate why this is happening. Is it because of jealousy or insecurity? Have an open conversation with the person to express how their lack of celebration makes you feel. You deserve to be celebrated for your achievements. And if the person is unwilling to acknowledge your joy, you may need to reconsider the emotional space you give them in your life. 7. Withholding affection as a form of control. Psychological insight. Affection is an essential component of human connection. It nurtures our emotional well-being and strengthens relationships. However, when affection is used as a tool for manipulation or control, it can have a profoundly negative impact. This behavior often arises from a person's desire to maintain power or dominance within the relationship. Withholding affection as a form of control is a subtle yet harmful tactic, as it plays on your need for love and emotional validation. In psychological terms, this behavior can be classified as emotional blackmail. It's a way of using your emotional dependency on someone to dictate your actions, thoughts, and behaviors. The person might withhold affection in response to perceived slights or to coerce you into conforming to their wishes, leaving you feeling emotionally starved and uncertain about the relationship's stability. Real-life example. You might find yourself in a situation where a loved one suddenly becomes cold or distant without any clear reason. This withdrawal of affection could happen after a disagreement, or it might be triggered by something you said or did, though the issue may not be as serious as the person makes it seem. For instance, they may stop speaking to you for days or refuse to acknowledge you when you need support, and the only way to earn back their affection is by apologizing or agreeing to their demands. This kind of emotional manipulation can leave you feeling isolated, confused, and desperate for the affection that's being withheld. You may start to feel as if your worth is dependent on their approval, which can lead to anxiety and self-doubt. Actionable advice. Recognize that affection should not be used as a bargaining chip. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and unconditional support. If you're experiencing emotional blackmail, it's crucial to communicate your feelings to the person involved. Let them know how their actions are affecting you and establish boundaries regarding how affection is exchanged in the relationship. It's important to never feel like you have to earn love or validation. If the person is unwilling to change their behavior, you may need to reconsider the relationship's dynamics or seek professional support to help address the underlying issues. 8. Gaslighting and manipulating your reality. Psychological insight. One of the most insidious forms of emotional abuse is gaslighting. This involves manipulating someone's perception of reality to make them doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. The term comes from the 1944 film Gaslight, in which a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is losing her sanity by dimming the gaslights and insisting she's imagining it. In relationships where hidden hate is present, gaslighting is used as a means of control and emotional destabilization. Gaslighting can cause profound psychological harm because it erodes your confidence and self-trust. Over time, you may begin to question your memory, perception, and even your sanity. This form of manipulation not only distorts your reality, but also isolates you from others by making you feel like you're the problem. Real-life example. Consider a situation where you confront a friend or partner about a hurtful behavior, and instead of acknowledging their actions, they insist that you're overreacting or misremembering the event. For example, if they said something hurtful to you, they might claim, "I never said that, you must be imagining things," or, "You're just being too sensitive." This causes confusion and makes you question your own reality. Over time, these repeated manipulations can lead you to believe that you are the one at fault, even when you are simply trying to express your feelings. Gaslighting is especially dangerous because it undermines your ability to trust your own experiences. It may leave you feeling isolated, powerless, and deeply insecure. Actionable advice. The first step in countering gaslighting is recognizing it. If someone consistently denies your experiences or tries to manipulate your perception of reality, it's crucial to stand firm in your truth. Document your experiences, if necessary, and seek validation from trusted friends or professionals. If you feel like you are being gaslighted, address the behavior with the person involved. Be clear about how their actions make you feel and insist on respectful communication. If the behavior continues, consider distancing yourself from the individual, as gaslighting can severely affect your emotional well-being. 9. Projecting their own insecurities onto you. Psychological insight. Projection is a defense mechanism identified by Freud, where individuals attribute their own undesirable thoughts, feelings, or behaviors to others. When someone harbors deep-seated insecurities but is unable or unwilling to confront them, they may project those insecurities onto the people around them. In relationships where there is hidden resentment, projection can be a way for someone to deflect attention from their own issues and place the blame on you. This behavior is often subtle, and it may feel as though you are being unfairly criticized or blamed for things you didn't do. The underlying motivation is usually the person's inability to confront their own fears, faults, or vulnerabilities, which they then displace onto you. Real-life example. Imagine someone close to you regularly accuses you of being insecure or jealous, even though you haven't shown any signs of these behaviors. They may say, "I can tell you're just jealous of what I've accomplished," or, "You always act like you're insecure about your appearance." In reality, it's them who are struggling with these emotions, and they're using you as a scapegoat to avoid dealing with their own feelings of inadequacy. Projection can also manifest in other forms, such as being accused of being lazy or disorganized when the person making the accusation is struggling with similar issues themselves. Actionable advice. Recognize projection for what it is, and attempt to deflect attention from the other person's inner conflicts. If someone consistently projects their insecurities onto you, it's important to stay grounded in your own reality. Resist internalizing their criticisms or allowing them to undermine your self-esteem. It can also be helpful to gently point out the discrepancy between their accusations and your behavior. But if the projection continues, it's best to set emotional boundaries and seek support from others who understand and respect you. 10. Undermining your relationships with others. Psychological insight. Undermining your other relationships is a form of emotional sabotage often driven by jealousy or the desire to isolate you. When someone resents you, they may try to disrupt your connections with others, either by speaking negatively about you behind your back or attempting to turn others against you. This behavior is often a way for them to regain control over the relationship or prevent you from forming bonds that might threaten their place in your life. Such actions are particularly harmful because they create division and conflict between you and the people you care about. Over time, these efforts can result in a significant amount of emotional strain, leaving you questioning who to trust. Real-life example. Imagine that someone close to you frequently talks negatively about your other friends or family members. They might say things like, "I don't think you should trust them, they don't have your best interests at heart," or, "They've always been selfish and manipulative." These remarks are designed to plant seeds of doubt in your mind and undermine your other relationships. This form of sabotage may even extend to creating conflict in your relationship with your spouse or partner by introducing unnecessary tension or misunderstanding. These negative comments can distort your perception of others and create unnecessary strain in your social circles. Actionable advice. If you notice someone trying to undermine your relationships, it's important to be vigilant. Trust your instincts and listen to the people who care about you. If someone close to you is attempting to create divisions, address the issue directly and make it clear that such behavior is not acceptable. It may also be helpful to communicate openly with the people involved, letting them know that you trust them and value your relationship with them. This concludes the breakdown of the remaining points. If you'd like to continue, further refine, or add more details, feel free to let me know. 11. Sabotaging your personal growth. Psychological insight. In relationships where hidden hatred exists, the other person might subtly or not so subtly sabotage your personal growth. This can manifest as discouragement, dismissing your ambitions, or actively creating obstacles that prevent you from achieving your goals. The underlying psychological motive is often rooted in insecurity or fear of losing control. When someone perceives that your growth could lead to you surpassing them or gaining independence, they may feel threatened and act in ways that keep you from progressing. This kind of sabotage can be very damaging to your mental health. It makes you question your abilities and can lead to self-doubt. Often, the sabotaging person will offer helpful advice that is actually discouraging or dismissive. They might say things like, "Are you sure you can handle that?" Or, "Maybe you should stick with something easier." Such comments can undermine your confidence and keep you stuck in a cycle of stagnation. Real-life example. If you've ever had a friend or partner who downplays your career aspirations or tries to convince you to give up on a personal goal, that's a form of sabotage. For example, if you're working on starting your own business, they might say, "It's so risky. Why don't you just stick with your current job?" Or, "You're not cut out for that." These discouraging comments aren't based on concern for your well-being. Rather, they reflect their own fears and insecurities about you progressing while they remain stagnant. Actionable advice. Recognizing when someone is sabotaging your growth is key. You deserve to have people around you who encourage you and want to see you succeed. If you feel that someone is hindering your progress, have an honest conversation about how their actions make you feel. Be clear about your ambitions and the support you need. If the sabotaging behavior continues, it's important to distance yourself from individuals who aren't genuinely invested in your success. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to grow and who celebrate your achievements. 12. Creating constant drama and chaos. Psychological insight. Some individuals thrive on drama because it gives them a sense of control or emotional stimulation. They may provoke arguments, stir up conflicts, or create chaotic situations to keep the focus on them. This is a form of manipulation meant to destabilize the emotional environment, making it easier for them to exert influence over you. From a psychological standpoint, this behavior can be linked to a need for attention or a deeper inability to regulate their emotions. They may not be able to cope with calm, peaceful interactions, and as a result, they provoke conflict to create excitement or to divert attention from their own insecurities. The drama serves as a distraction from their emotional turmoil, but it comes at the cost of your peace of mind and emotional well-being. Real-life example. Imagine you're in a situation where every time things are going smoothly, the person you're dealing with suddenly stirs up an argument or introduces a new issue. They may claim that someone wronged them, or create a false narrative that paints them as a victim. The cycle continues, with each peaceable moment followed by a new conflict. Over time, this pattern of creating chaos can leave you exhausted, emotionally drained, and constantly on edge. Actionable advice. When someone constantly brings chaos into your life, it's essential to set boundaries. Communicate that you won't engage in unnecessary drama or conflicts. The key to breaking this cycle is maintaining emotional distance and not allowing the person to drag you into their emotional storms. Practice self-care and focus on maintaining peace and stability in your own life. If the drama continues, it may be necessary to reduce your interactions with the individual or end the relationship altogether to protect your mental health. Now that we've explored the 12 subtle yet harmful signs that someone may be harboring hidden resentment or hate toward you, it's important to remember that recognizing these signs is only the first step. The next crucial step is to protect your emotional health and set boundaries with those who may be causing harm. It's never easy to confront toxic behaviors, especially when they come from people close to us. However, understanding these behaviors and addressing them with compassion and clarity can help you preserve your self-worth and emotional well-being. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift and support you. And always prioritize your growth, happiness, and peace of mind. Remember, you deserve to be in relationships where love, respect, and mutual support are the foundations. if you notice any of these signs in your relationships. It's a reminder to take a step back, reflect, and evaluate what's best for you. Healthy boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from harm, they're about ensuring that you continue to thrive in an environment where you are valued, celebrated, and respected. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video has been helpful in recognizing these toxic behaviors. Don't forget to subscribe to Transformative Thoughts for more content on nurturing healthier relationships and personal growth. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.